Hello and welcome to this video. A lot of questions and concerns are on the minds of the billions of people currently inhabiting Earth.
Health authorities have activated their most serious response level
after an outbreak of a new type of viral pneumonia
in central China.
A rapidly growing number of people were developing a dry cough and fever before getting pneumonia.
Be sure to watch this video till the end, so as the catch-up on updates as well as answers to questions relating to the coronavirus and its symptoms. The coronavirus pandemic, which has spread its tentacles across several countries of the world, has brought about the need for the whole world to join forces in fighting this deadly virus. Part of the responsibility of every inhabitant of the Earth is to spread the right information and updates and ensure that people are well aware of the ongoing situation. This is why this video comes in right on time, so be sure to do your part by clicking the like button and sharing the much needed information captured by this video. So, let's jump right in and get your daily dose. To start with, let's do a quick recapturing of what COVID-19 is. COVID-19 is an infection which is brought about by a member of the coronavirus family. This particular infection has never been identified or experienced prior to the current worldwide pandemic. However, it operates very similarly to other coronaviruses, in that it is transferred to humans from animals. On the 11th of March, 2020, the World Health Organization declared COVID-19 a pandemic. The recent coronavirus update in statistics as of when this was compiled is at over 1.8 million confirmed cases worldwide. Over 440,000 cases have recovered and over 116,000 deaths have been reported around the world. More than ever, it is imperative that we understand the way this virus operates and how we can be cautious and stay safe. Now, let's take a look at what symptoms result in those infected with the coronavirus. The most common symptoms of the highly infectious respiratory illness COVID-19 are dry cough, fever, sore throat, tiredness, diarrhea, nasal congestion, and sometimes runny nose and a loss of sense of taste or smell, or both. Some of those infected with the coronavirus do undergo and experience only a mild case, which usually feels like a regular and normal cold. Many of those with this mild case end up recovering without the need for any extra special treatment. It is interesting to note that about 80% of those who get infected with the coronavirus end up having only mild cases and recover swiftly from the impact of the virus. Nonetheless, according to the World Health Organization, 1 out of 6 people infected with the novel coronavirus gets critically ill. Those susceptible to the adverse effects of this virus are those with pre-existing medical conditions, such as chronic lung disease, moderate to severe asthma, heart conditions, high blood pressure, diabetes, liver, and kidney disease, whose immune systems have been compromised. In addition, people older than 65 run a high risk of getting down with serious and critical illnesses from the coronavirus disease infection. Statistics have it that about 8 out of 10 deaths reported in the United States have been of adults who are 65 years and older. Extra precautions and care should be taken by those most susceptible. Let's run down again on some of the preventative measures against COVID-19. The steps to take to reduce the chances of being infected include the following. Stay at home and avoid close contact. This is commonly known as social distancing, and has been found to be very effective against curtailing viruses. This is especially necessary for those who are at high risk of contracting the disease. Another preventive measure that has proven effective is to wash your hands often. Clean your hands thoroughly and regularly with soap and water for at least 20 seconds. Make use of an alcohol-based hand sanitizer where water is not available. Also, avoid touching your face with unclean hands. Remember that there is currently no vaccine to prevent the new coronavirus, COVID-19. Therefore, the very best way to prevent falling ill with the disease is to actually try as much as possible to avoid being exposed to the virus in the first place. Upon exposure to the virus, which causes the COVID-19 infection, the timeline for symptoms to develop has been projected to be between 2 to 14 days. This means that it can take as little as 2 days and as many as 14 days for the disease symptoms to develop within a person's system. On the flip side, it takes an average time of 17 days between the first symptom identification and complete recovery, although some cases are more lethal than others. Now to a breakdown on what it looks like to develop the novel coronavirus day by day. This pattern of symptoms have been developed by observing several COVID-19 patients. Days 1 through 3. Symptoms at this early stage start off as fair and mild. At first, it might feel like a common cold or a common flu, but it could steadily escalate. Fever may be noticed and experienced. Dry cough, fatigue, and intermittent shortness of breath can also be felt. A few people may also feel nauseous and experience diarrhea, vomiting, or abdominal discomfort. Days 4 through 6. At this stage, the symptoms may be seen to increase rapidly as difficulty with breathing is experienced. This is mostly true for those who are vulnerable, like those with previous medical conditions and the elderly. Symptoms like fatigue, sore throat, runny nose, joint pain or muscle pain, headache, and so on are prominent. Days 7 through 9. This is the time when symptoms are well developed and patients begin to seek medical attention.
They're having trouble breathing. New bed comes with a lot of equipment which can help the body and organs recover. For instance, ventilators help a person to breathe.
Days 10 through 14. At this particular stage, there is a division of response in two distinct categories. A large number of patients will continue steadily on the path of recovery, getting better and responding to treatment until eventually they are cleared and clean from the virus. Critical cases, on the other hand,
他前天休克，感染性休克了，我们怀疑他肺里面痰了出不来，然后就想给他插过来，翻过来，我们叫搏位。
The treatment of ARDS requires the use of oxygen as support and also mechanical ventilation. In fatal cases where the treatment to get more oxygen into the bloodstream does not work, the lungs become too flooded. This is the cause of most COVID-19 deaths. The World Health Organization China Joint Mission on COVID-19, as at February 20, 2020, explained three categories of the symptoms experienced by those infected with the novel coronavirus, from mild to moderate, severe, and critical. It was noted that, as at that time, 80% of confirmed cases had symptoms from mild to moderate, 14% experienced severity in the symptoms, while 6% described as critical. The categories, that is from mild to critical, that the patients become classified into determine to a very large extent the symptoms they experience and the treatment that they would receive. Because COVID-19 is a respiratory disease, it means that it affects the lungs. The way it operates is that the virus invades the lung cells, thereby damaging the cilia. The cilia are hair-like projections, which work in order to keep airways clear of mucus and dirt, and this allows us to breathe easily. When an infection occurs, cells begin to die, and this adds to debris. Such as the dry cough, presence of phlegm, and shortness of breath. COVID-19 is a novel virus, and much research work is still going on to understand its dynamics. Presently, there is no available cure or vaccine for the virus. Therefore, the most effective way to avoid getting infected is to avoid exposure. So stay at home, stay safe, and stay healthy. This brings us to the end of today's video. Don't forget to click the like button, subscribe, and also share this video.